So how exactly can you actually double your credit limit, okay? My first credit card gave me 1,000 and 3 years later, I had over $70,000 in available credit. And on top of that, I had credit cards that basically approved me for 7,000 and then I had pre-approvals over 21,000 where I just had to click accept and they would have gave me that money no problem. So how exactly did I do that? Well, one thing I have to tell you guys is this, okay? When it comes to banks, when it comes to credit cards, when it comes to loans, you have to know one thing, okay? Financial companies, their products is not, for example, like a phone or a pen. Their product is money. So what they want you to have is their money so that way they can actually make money. And the trick is basically knowing exactly the person they're looking for to fit their box so that way you can become that person, and this way they can basically approve you for all the money you actually want. And by the way, my credit score at a certain point was about 811. I was picture perfect what basic companies wanted, and that's why I was getting so much money. And by the way, you can do this too, and you should know that today I have zero debt, and I'm going to tell you exactly why by the end of this video. Now, the very first thing, guys, is this, okay? Do me a favor and smash the like button. I gotta get that out of the way, okay? Helps out with the channel. But the very first real thing is this, okay? You have to become exactly what they are searching for. You have to basically become that profile customer so this way they can approve you. Like, they want to approve you. When, for example, banks didn't have any limits of doing all this background check or whatever, you could walk into a bank and walk out with a bunch of money without them ever checking that you actually even made any money and confirming it, okay? That's why we had the whole crisis back in 2008, okay? Banks want you to have money. They just need you to tick those boxes off. That way they can basically give you what you actually want. So here are the three things I actually did. Number one is I had to become very responsible with the money they actually gave me at first. Number two was I accepted a bunch of the offers they actually gave me. And number three was I asked for what I want. Now let's get started right here with number one, which is basically being responsible with my current debts. So let's say I had a credit card, which I did for $1,000 that I used to basically buy my first MacBook at the time. I was extremely responsible with that card. I would use it, I would pay it off. I would use it, I would pay it off. You know, you never want to borrow more money than you can actually afford to pay off, okay? And you don't have to pay it off every single month in full, unless you don't have a promotional balance, okay? Because then you're going to be charged interest. But there are some cards out there that they say, hey, if you take this card, we're going to give you 12 months, buy whatever you want, and you don't have to pay us any interest until the 12-month period is over. So in that case, you don't have to pay it off every single month, but you do have to borrow the amount you can actually afford to pay. That's the whole idea. So with everything they gave me, I was super responsible. I made all my payments on time. I kept my credit utilization very low. So this way, I started to build this profile that they actually want. This person that is squeaky clean. This guy, he's perfect. Doesn't miss any payments, doesn't borrow a bunch of money, and he always pays back on time, okay? And he pays in full. I mean, that is awesome, all right? And hopefully what they're looking for is that I'm maybe gonna mess up, I'm not gonna make a payment, and then I'm going to be stuck paying them interest long term. That way they can make a lot of money off of me. But that's never the case. Never actually made any money from me, okay? Which is actually pretty cool. Now, here's the idea, guys, okay? If you're going to lend somebody money, who are you going to lend money to? Just use common sense. You're going to lend money to someone that has available credit, maybe not a lot, but has a whole bunch of missed payments, is using all of it? Or are you going to lend money to a person that, although they don't have that much money, they're basically paying on time, they're borrowing money, they're paying it back, and they're being very responsible? Most likely, it's going to be the second person, obviously. And by the way, it is very important you understand credit utilization, because if you don't understand this, you're not going to be able to increase your whole credit limit. And what that basically means is, it's the percentage when it comes to the amount of money you're borrowing versus the amount of money you have available. So for example, if you have a credit line of $100 and you're borrowing $50, you have a credit utilization of about 50%, okay? Because you're borrowing 50% of what's actually available. That's not good. You want to keep it usually below 10% is the rule I basically learned. Why? Why? Okay, if you're giving me money, isn't it so I can basically use it? Does it actually matter? The answer is you're going to look desperate. If you're basically wanting more money and you are already using everything you have, you look desperate. You look like you need the money. And that's not a good thing, okay? Sounds stupid, but it's true. Now, the second thing I actually did was I accepted a bunch of offers, okay? Now, this depends. It depends on what your goal is as far as for credit. My goal at the time was to basically get a whole bunch of promotional cards and basically use that money for that time being and then put the money back, okay? That was my whole goal, to basically flip the money back and forth and make a lot of money. So what that basically means is I got a lot of offers in the mail giving me 12 months, okay? Buy whatever you want, don't gotta pay for 12 months. Discover, I think, gave me one for 18 months, I think it was Discover, and guess what? Don't have to pay back for the next 18 months, okay? No interest if you pay it back in full before the 18 months is actually over. So I accepted all of those and I basically used the money and I flipped it, made more money, and then I put the money back. Thankfully, everything went fine for me. However, if you're trying to be more selective with your cards, like, hey, I want to get this card because this card is important to me, then obviously you're not going to accept all the offers. You're going to build up your profile and then become that person. So then when you apply for the cards you actually want, you can actually qualify for it. I think one of the cards that I actually wanted and I built up to it was the Chase Sapphire card that basically paid $100 every single year. But that card had a bunch of benefits. So I was basically building up to it, and then I got pre-qualified. But at that point, I was no longer interested. More on that later. But that's the idea, guys, okay? You want to make sure that you are accepting the offers that they're actually giving you. It's the easiest way to get, for example, more accounts on your credit score and to have, like, for example, like a better history when it comes to your credit. For example, okay, what card are you more likely to get approved for? A card you're applying for or an offer that was made to you and you're basically accepting and you just pre-qualified off the bat? The answer is obviously is going to be the card that was made the offer, okay? Because basically they want you there, they've invited you, and they're just basically waiting for you to accept. But if you're applying for a new card, it's like, okay, he's applying, he's not gonna get like you're not gonna get like accepted, but your odds are going to be lower than when it comes to a card that already wants you there. That's the idea. So I accepted all those offers, and the reason was because I wanted to have many types of credits and just credit overall or credit accounts on my credit score. That way they saw, hey, this guy is super responsible. At a certain point, I had 13 credit cards. All of them were being paid off on time. All of them had perfect history. All of them were great. So guess what? I got even more offers and they wanted to give me more money. Because why? This guy is super responsible, okay? You want to do what you can with what you have, okay? You don't want to be waiting until, I got to wait until I got a lot of money. So no, you just do what you can with what you have. Now, the third thing that I basically did was I asked. Now, here's what that means, okay? For a lot of credit cards, what started to happen was as I left money also in the account, that also helps a lot, by the way. If you have a Chase account and you have, for example, some cash in there and you ask for money, they're probably going to say, this guy has money. Look, he has money in the account. That makes a difference, or at least that's my idea. But a lot of the times, at least with Chase, they just basically pre-qualified me without me asking and actually gave me like free credit increases, no problem, okay? However, with Discover, I had to basically ask. Now, I used to ask like this, okay? You have to ask in a very tricky way because it's not like, for example, hey, can you give me more money? No, you have to make it very enticing for them. And there are these 4 things you can basically do, and I wrote them down here, so I want to go over them. Number 1 is comparing. So one big thing is just comparing that card with another card. Saying, for example, hey, I'm calling in to get a credit increase. And remember, okay, credit cards care a lot about your credit score. But most importantly is basically how do you treat the current credit you actually have? Are you good with money? Are you paying them on time? Is everything okay? Are you borrowing a lot of money? How's your income? How are your bill payments? They care about all these things, okay? But most importantly, they also care that you're spending money. Because they're not just going to give you more money if you're not actually spending any money. Because the whole goal is to get you to spend more money so that way at a certain point you can have a lot of debt and now you're stuck paying them interest, okay? But the first thing you basically do is you call in and you say, hey, I'm trying to get a credit increase and see if I qualify. And they might ask you why. And the answer is because, well, I have right here like a credit card with Chase, and they have, for example, like I have a $2,000 credit limit over there. Over here is $1,000. I don't really know why. I'm just trying to basically get it to the same amount. But also, for example, you can give them an opportunity. That's the second thing, okay? So you have comparing, you also have opportunity, which is basically, I plan on going on vacation in the future, so I want to be able to use my credit card to take advantage of the points I actually get. And all they're hearing with that is basically, this guy's going to spend money, so we want to get him the money so that way he can basically be stuck paying interest. On top of that, number two, or number three here, is going to be establishing trust. Trust comes from, especially with companies like these, is basically having money with them. That makes a massive difference. For example, right now, my credit score, believe it or not, is like in the 600s. I don't have any debt, and I have more money than I ever had in my life, okay? But that's because I also don't have any debt. There is no history to track. There is no bills I'm basically paying. There's none of that, okay? So that's why my credit score is going to turn invisible pretty soon. But I'm pretty sure that if I applied for a credit card, I would actually get it, because they would see, hey, this guy has cash. We can basically pre-approve him, no problem. And then that way, I could just basically get even more money just by doing this whole tactic. So one thing is, you build trust by having cash and being responsible with the credit you actually have. All those things are great. Now, if none of these works, then you have, for example, the fear and the threat. The fear and the threat is basically, hey, I'm having a better offer over here. I've been pre-qualified with another company to give me this much money. If we're not going to raise my credit, then why am I here for? Okay, I can get more benefits somewhere else. And that always makes things a little bit better. But here's the overall idea I want you guys to understand when it comes to asking to actually get, for example, a bigger credit line, okay? You can't look like you need the money. And you can't get it if you don't qualify. I mean, that's one big thing. Maybe you can get lucky, but having that profile that actually fits of someone that has a pretty good income, is spending money, is paying things on time, and is being responsible and all this other stuff. Basically, someone that's basically good with debt in a way. That's what's actually gonna get you there. And then the action part, calling in and asking for it, okay? That's big. And then having like different accounts that's showing that you're very responsible. But one big thing is like, you have to be spending money. It's like one of those credit cards like that Amex does, like the black card or the silver card, whatever it is. Like one prerequisite is to get that card, you gotta be a big spender, because they're gonna give you more money if you're spending money. Now, if you made it all the way to the end of the video, then great. Let me tell you exactly why I don't have any credit cards today. I think one, when you're playing this game to get points, it's a very dumb game because you spend more money than you actually make. You're not going to become rich from the money you actually spend. And on average, you tend to spend about 12 to 18% more than you would with cash or usually with a debit card. I found like for me, myself, that when I use a debit card and it's my own money, I'm not going to be spending more money than I would. And on top of that, I realized a long time ago that to buy a home, I don't need any credits. I just basically go, I say, hey, here's my income, here's my taxes, here are my bill payments, and based on that, they create a profile for me, and I'm good to go. I also realized that this game is never ending, okay? Because the only way to keep up a credit score is by basically having debt. There's no other way around it. If you don't believe me, pay off everything you have, and I guarantee your debt is going to go down. I mean, your credit is going to go down. It should be like, people assume that credit shows how good you are with money. No, credit shows how good you are with debt. That's all it shows. It doesn't show that you're financially healthy, that you're doing the right things with money, that you're investing. It doesn't show any of that stuff, okay? It just shows that, hey, this person is good with debt, so let's give him more money and hope we can get them in more debt and basically charge them a bunch of money in interest, okay? I noticed that it was a dumb game, it wasn't worth it, and I chose to be debt-free and live that type of lifestyle. So you might be wondering and asking me, Tommy, why make a video about increasing your credit line? The answer is, there are a lot of videos on YouTube about this topic, but none of them is done by someone that played the game and is out of the game. So I'm gonna tell you the true information of how I did it, but I also want you to know that it's probably not the best idea. This way, you're not just hearing it from someone that's just like all positive on it. I'm super negative on it, but I'm gonna tell you also how to do it, and I'm gonna tell you I don't recommend it, okay? That's the honest truth. Thanks for watching this video, guys. As always, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys next time. Comment down below any questions, and